Metric 4 covers any public access projects that your Corps would do. This may include activities such as facility vegetation management, trail work, boundary work, and structure construction and installation. Both facility vegetation management and boundary work are only going to recover the universal metrics of photo point monitoring and spatial extent. Boundary work is only going to include activities such as boundary marking. It's not going to include putting up fencing along a boundary. Putting up fencing is going to be considered structure installation and construction. Facility vegetation management refers to any trimming that might be done around facilities that are used for public access work or offices. And this is not related to fire preparation work, but simply just maintaining the property. When collecting the spatial extent for these projects, for facility vegetation management, you're going to want to get the perimeter so you can get the acreage amount. And then for boundaries, you're just going to need a linear tract. The next approved activity under public access projects is trail work. And trail work is going to ask you to collect 4.1 and 4.2 subcodes, and of course, as always, the universal metric of photo monitoring. So 4.1 is the spatial extent, and you'll notice here I've highlighted that this is going to be linear. So you don't need to take a width measurement of that trail, we just need the length of the trail. And 4.2 is going to be the trail composition. To determine trail composition, you'll use these categories on the slide from soil down to other to describe the makeup of that trail and list it on the data sheet. You'll see on the data sheet under trail composition that you can do this in segments if the trail varies in trail composition, or if it's just, one standard smaller trail where it's just vegetated or it's all bare ground, then you can just put this under segment 1. If you are going to do multiple segments, then you're going to want to take a waypoint and write down that latitude and longitude to know where those changes are seen. And you'll see that under tread category here. You can also put some notes under composition to say, if this has changed from previously. And then there's another notes section just to note other obstructions on the trail. And here you'll want to go ahead and list that waypoint number as well, such as if you saw a fallen tree that maybe needs chainsawing, but you don't have a chainsaw with you, you can have that waypoint and either give it to your partner or come out the next day to relocate that spot and get rid of that hazard. The final approved project activity under public access projects is structure construction and installation. And so this is another category that's very broad. It could refer to doing maintenance on boardwalks, possibly installing signage, as I talked about in boundary work. If you're putting up any fencing, this would fall under that structure category as well. And for this, of course, again, we're going to have that universal metric of photo monitoring. We're going to want to get the linear, so the length of this structure, and then we're going to want to take some observations. So you can see here, we're going to want the condition of the decking, handrails, pilings, if it were something like a boardwalk or even a building, the condition of signage, the condition of fencing, and then also just noting any safety concerns and other general observations. One thing to note, a little caveat, kind of goes with all of our projects since we have so many different ones. On the data sheet under size of activity area, you'll see it asked for the length of the structure. And of course, if you're installing signs, we're not going to ask you to just take the length of that one sign. What we're going to actually do is just ask you to note how many signs that you installed and take a linear measurement of where those, the path those are located on. You'll also notice under the structural observation section of this data sheets, it's not asking you for anything more than notes, so you don't have to take any waypoints. I do encourage, if it is a long structure such as a fence, maybe you're doing a fence around, a boundary and it's, a mile long. So if you're going to, assess that, you're going to want to probably take some waypoints so that you know where to go back and repair the fence.